Hey everybody, I'm going to make a video today showing an example of how to do the activity called My Population, in which we're going to create an Excel sheet with two columns and a separate row for all of the potential units in your population. We're going to label the first row ID and briefly describe each of the potential units. The second column is going to be called unique. So in other words, we're going to give every potential unit a unique identifier. And I'll briefly talk about what this could mean for how we could draw a simple random sample, which we'll do in class later, or you'll have the option of doing class later if it's feasible for your project. And part of the if it's feasible for your project is why I wanted to show this video. So I'm going to show three different examples of fairly different types of projects. In our first example, we'll look at the Billboard's Hot 100, where our unit of observation will be different songs. In our second, we're going to do Grey's Anatomy episode. We're going to study Grey's Anatomy, where we'll have our unit of observation be different episodes. And in our third, we're going to look at the movie Barbie, where each episode is going, or where each unit is going to be a different scene in the movie Barbie. So first, I'm going to show my screen here so you can see exactly what you would see from your end. See an activity looking like this. So here's our instructions. We're going to create an Excel sheet. So I'm going to go to, you can do this in regular Excel, but I'm going to do it in Google Sheets since I know everyone has access to this. So first, we're going to create a row called ID, first column ID. And then we're going to label the next column unique. So in this first column, we're going to assign each row a brief description. So our first example, we're going to look at hot songs on the Billboard 100. So we're going to have each different, and each unit is going to be a different song. So each row is going to be a different song. So if we go to our list of Beautiful 100, then we can go through and list out all of these songs. So we're going to give it a thing, and I'll pause it while I fill in a few more. Now we're gonna, now you can see, I only fill out all 100 songs, but there would be 100 different rows, one separate row for every song on the Billboard 100. Then we're gonna fill in the unique by assigning each of these rows a unique identifier, or just a number that is different for every single observation and corresponds to that observation. So this is the fifth song on the Billboard 100, the sixth song on the Billboard 100, the ninth song on the Billboard 100. And if this was all the way filled out, this would go down to all the way down to 100, etc. So after you finish that, you're going to fill out in a Word document that is going to answer the following questions. What is the unit of analysis? In this case, our unit of analysis is a different song. What represents a different row? What is the population? In this case, the population is all of the potential units in our space. So in this case, it would be all songs on the Billboard Hot 100, or all 100 songs in the Billboard Hot 100. Which answers question 3. How many potential units are in the population? This would be 100. Next, I want you here to think a little about what it would mean to take a simple random sample from your population. In this case, if we wanted to take a simple random sample of size 30, then there would be 100 songs here. We'd want to have a way to randomly select 30 of the rows. And we could do this using the sample command, or the sample command we did as we learned in class, and as we will also cover again in class. And in this case, it would be fairly feasible because we know exactly how many songs there are, and are able to assign every single song a number. Next, I'll do an example of if we may not be able to draw all of the samples, or I'll have an example of the third example when we look at scenes in the movie Barbie. We may not be able to easily draw a simple random sample because we aren't able to know exactly how many units are in the population. And I'll get to that example in a second. But next, I want to show how we could, if our unit of analysis was Grey's Anatomy episodes. So I'm just going to erase these numbers here, change the label so we can see it. And then what we're going to do is we're looking at different episodes of Grey's Anatomy. We want a different row for every episode of Grey's Anatomy. So I'm just going to Google Grey's Anatomy episodes. See if I can find a list. Now, this list here doesn't, it actually does have all the titles. So we can get through and get every single one now of these titles and copy and paste it over. And that would be a good idea, especially if you're going, it would be easier to draw from this sample. So to know what episodes specifically you were looking at. So I'm going to go through and I'll get a couple of these. So I went through and added a few here. And I want to take this moment to show an example of another way that we could do this, or some of the things you may be thinking about as you're gathering these. The first is you could, because here, especially on Wikipedia, we already have information. So this information could be thought of as variables that measure characteristics of the episode. So, for example, if we were really interested if how episodes that were written by Shonda Rhimes were different from other writers, then perhaps we could collect a variable called written by that already has this information. And we don't even have to watch the episode to very quickly gather this variable. So maybe we'll add this in, written by, and I'll just assign a couple names here. And let's say we just wanted this to be a dummy variable is a good way to show this, where if it was 1 for Shonda Rhimes and 0 for not Shonda Rhimes. And we're going to call the variable Shonda, because we name dummy variables after the condition, so we always know what 1 means. So because the variable is named Shonda, Hard Night was written by Shonda, we assign it a 1. Winning 2 and change period. And 0. So that was a very quick way that we could gather a variable. Another way I'll show this here is we can make slightly quicker IDs perhaps by maybe calling this season 1, episode 1, season 1, episode 2, season 1, episode 3, and then this fills in way faster, and it goes way down to episode 10. Now we are going to assign, and I'll show this as an example because I want to show now. There are 10 or 9 episodes in season 1, and then there are 27 episodes in season 2. And we can drag it down, and it's a little bit faster to fill out the whole sheet. Then we can always gather another variable name with the title, maybe. And we could fill in our title as a different column or characteristic of the variable. Next, we assign each a unique ID. So these are going to be the same, and I wanted to show this because even though we're now at the next season, note that the numbers don't go back. Every single row has its own unique identifier. And we see Wikipedia actually does this, has they call it the number overall. And we can see in this situation that there are, oh geez. Lots of good information on Taylor Swift here. 420 total episodes so far out for Grey's Anatomy, with more on the way. So if we were to fill this all the way out, there'd go all the way down to 420 rows. Now I want to make a note here, and the reason I showed the Grey's Anatomy one is just because there are 400 plus potential observations in your population, doesn't mean that you will necessarily analyze every single episode. That'd be a little cruel if I made you watch all of Grey's Anatomy in one semester. But that being said, you still, for this assignment, I want you to identify how many units are in your population. So coming back to our answers, what is the unit of analysis? What characterizes each row? Is a different episode. What is the population? It is all of the episodes of Grey's Anatomy. How many potential units are in the population? That's how many potential rows. That's 420. Well, we're taking a simple random sample. It would mean randomly selecting a sample of these episodes. And then we'd use that random sample of episodes, say if we watched 60 episodes, we'd use those random sample of 60 episodes or 60 rows that we did actually collect information about to then generalize or make inferences or use statistics to better understand the full 420 episodes. So would it be feasible? In this case, it'd be fairly feasible. We have a number. We have very easy able to identify how many episodes there are. So for our last example, let's say we wanted to do scenes in the movie Barbie. Clear out all this. Another ones. Now, let's say we start, but we just want to know, I wonder if someone's already found this information out, which sometimes can make your job very easy. So let's see if Google knows the answer to how many scenes in the movie. And I'm not seeing anyone that's any kind of list. And you could dig a little harder, it might be easier. But let's say you have something that it wouldn't be very easy. So let's say you were doing conversations in a movie or something like that, that maybe no one ever counted how many conversations there are in a movie. In that case, you could try to estimate about that. So if you wanted to estimate about how many scenes are in the movie Barbie, let's see what Google has to say about that. How many scenes are in an average movie? Ooh, seems like there's quite a bit of variation in how many scenes there are in a movie, anywhere from 200 to 20. The average scene lasts around 2.5 to 3 minutes. So you keep looking, in average, maybe 40 to 60. If only we had a good measure of the mean and standard deviation for this. So let's just go off of this. I very highly doubt, or I don't know the accuracy of Quora very much. I wish there was we could dig into a little more. I'm sure that there's a way to find a bit more reputable way of doing this, but because I'm not doing my research here, let's say I wanted to just be quick about it and assume there's 50 scenes in the movie Barbie. In which case we'd assign each unique ID. 2, 3. Drag it down. All the way down to 50 scenes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the way down. This would go down to have 50 rows. Now, we're answering questions about scenes in the movie Barbie. We would say, what is our unit of analysis? Our unit of analysis would be, in this case, the scene. What is our population? In this case, the population would be total number of scenes or all of the scenes in the movie Barbie. How many potential units are in a population? The answer to this one is we don't know. It's unsure. We think that might be about 50 based upon this source I checked. But I can't be positive for sure. I wasn't able to find that information. So what would taking a simple random sample from this population mean? That would involve counting or finding an accurate source that told us how many scenes exactly there were in the movie Barbie, assigning each scene its unique identifier, and then randomly selecting scenes among those scenes. In this case, I'd say it'd be fairly unfeasible. It'd be practical, perhaps, if you wanted to spend a lot of time on it, and it'd be very impressive if you went out and did this. But it would probably take you a lot of time to list out how many scenes there are in a separate row and then randomly sample them. You have to watch the movie probably a few times. The first time to count how many scenes there are. And then when you were gathering the variables on the scenes, you'd at that point might as well just take a full census or collect information on all of the scenes in the movie, which may not be a bad idea if you're just doing one movie. And probably suggested if you're just doing one movie, you're already watching it, but it wouldn't really be feasible to take a simple random sample. It'd probably be more feasible to just watch the entire movie and collect a full census. And that might be the alternative. Or you could think of some other potential alternatives, or for example, convenient samples or non-probability samples that you could also use. And for those definitions, you could see in class or also from the textbook. Then what you're going to submit is an Excel sheet of this document with your answers, and our Excel sheet that we made here, where you could download it here. You can download it as a CSV as we have been doing before, or as an Excel sheet. You can even just take a screenshot of it. I'm mainly just looking to see if you understand the concept of what we were going for with this, and then the answers to these questions. Again, I'm really just looking to make sure you have an understanding of what it would mean to take a simple random sample from your population. Again, that's the main thing I'm looking for this, is do you understand what it would mean to go through that process? As usual, if you have any questions, email me, and I'd be happy to help. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.